Praise the Lord, everybody. Come on and clap your hands for God on today. Amen. I tell you, amen, you all may be seated at this time. I tell you, it's hard to find good friends in the gospel these days. One who you know has a great spirit. And I can truly say, amen, my brother, amen, Pastor Price, amen, he has a great spirit, a godly spirit on the inside of him. There's supposed to have been somebody else that's supposed to have been coming here to actually do our praise and worship for us on today. And I got a text message and he's like, well, something came up. I'm like, okay, but it really didn't sit right with me very well. And so I said, God, okay, now I started just sending a text message out to all my friends I knew that were musicians, and no one responded. And I had talked to Pastor Price and he said, well, let me see. And I know sometimes when we say that right there, especially with him, he's like me a lot. We're busy. We're always on the go. If it ain't ministry, it's work. If it ain't work, it's family. So you're always on the go. And I texted him last night and he said, brother, I forgot. But then he started asking questions and I said, well, Lord, Lord, just have your way. And then that's when he told me, he said, man, he said, my wife and children may not be able to come. He said, but I'll come and help you out this morning. And now y'all know I'm one of them old crime preachers every time, But I thank God for you, man. I do. I do, because it took a load off of me this morning, because I was wondering, okay, God, how are we going to go about on praise worship? How are we going to set an atmosphere for the people on this morning? Because I know that, when Dad is not here, we still got to go on. And so I'm grateful to let you guys know. I talked to him on yesterday, and he gave a good report. He said, my God, he said, God is moving in a mighty way down there in Jamaica. And he said, the thing about it, he said, you never really realize how tired you are until you get out of your element that you used to be in. He said, I find myself sleeping later than what I thought I was going to. He said, literally, he said, my body is tired. He said, of course, Mom is, she's, in the computer. He said, but thank God her deliverance is coming in about 2 weeks when she graduates. So he wants to let you all know that, everything is going good with them. And, and it put a smile on my face when he called and told me that they're feeling good right now. He said the thing about it, he said, son, he said, I got a problem. I'm like, oh, Lord, what's the problem? He said, it's a good problem, though. He said, we're going to be a little bit heavier than when we came back. I said, oh, I know. He said, we eat breakfast at the resort. He said, we eat lunch. He said, and then right before, he said, 2 hours later, we're eating again before we go to church, and then we're snacking after church. I said, y'all getting fat in the word and y'all getting fat in food down there. So, but they said everything is good, and they send their love, all the way from Runaway Bay, Jamaica on this morning. Let you all know that they love you all. Amen. But nevertheless, amen, the word is going to go forth on this morning. And this past Wednesday, for some of y'all that were here, I started talking a little bit about the message that we're going to bring forth on this coming up Sunday. And it's a continuation that I had preached a little while ago. And the topic that I had gave a while ago was divine grace. And today we're going to talk about, I'm going to give you part 2 of it, because it's going to come out of Mark, the 5th chapter. And it's verses 21 through 43. And a lot of you all, the story of Jairus. Jairus, he was one of the, the rulers of the synagogue back then. And he came to Jesus and was asking, Jesus, hey, I need some help. My daughter is sick here. And so on the way, while he's, going to take care of Jairus, when the woman with the issue of blood came. And, he healed her, and then he went on to take care of Jairus' daughter. And so today we're going to talk about divine grace part 2. And the part we're going to talk about today is dealing with the 3 D's in life. The 3 D's in life. And for some of you all know that Mark, the 5th chapter, verses 21 through 43, that text is also known as a sandwich text, because you're going to have the beginning where it's talking about Jairus is going to Jesus. Then you have the middle part where it's talking about how he healed the woman with the issue of blood. Then the third part where he's going to talk about where he actually goes to Jairus' daughter. So, the first part I gave you was when they talked about when Jairus came to Jesus, and then we talked about how Jesus healed the woman with the issue of blood. So today we're going to talk about how Jesus was when he was going to deal with Jairus' daughter. And so on today, and getting back into my notes here, because oftentimes we find ourselves just like Jairus. We're approaching God with situations, but we feel as if he does not answer them when and we want him to, and he ignores our request. We all have to realize that in Isaiah, the 55th chapter, it says, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, said the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." And so we notice here that Jairus has told Jesus that his daughter is dying and pleaded with Jesus to heal her. And you know how the story foretells that on his way to heal her, the woman with the issue of blood comes on the scene. And oftentimes in life, we have to deal with the 3 Ds before our blessing comes. The first D that we're going to deal with is the delay in life. The second D we're going to deal with is going to be the distractions of life. And the third D we're going to deal with is going to be the devastations of life. And saints, you have to realize that before our blessings come, a lot of times we have to deal with those 3 Ds in life, which is the delay, the distraction, and the devastation. And as we look at the 3 Ds, and we can also know that these 3 Ds, they are very, very essential in life, because if you get your blessing before it's time to receive that blessing, you are not able to receive. The reason why is because you're not ready to receive that blessing. So sometimes you got to realize that God's not going to give you anything that's going to come easy. Sometimes it comes with a price. And then also we got to realize that when those times come to receive those blessings, it may not come when we want them to come, but know that it's always on time, and know that our time is what? Not God's time. And so the first thing we're going to deal with is going to be the delay. And delays come so that we don't receive things too early in life. Many times we get frustrated because the things are not going as fast or coming as soon as we want them to come. And you can just imagine how Jairus is right now. So now he's already gotten the courage to go to Jesus. And so now he's there at Jesus, and he's telling Jesus what's going on with his daughter right now. And so now Jesus is saying, okay, let's go to your daughter. And you can just imagine, I'm going to put you into the scene right now, that you know that when Jesus comes up on the scene, that's when the crowd tends to come. And sometimes when the crowd tends to come, things tend to happen as well. And just like, right now you got the Avenger movies that's in the theaters right now. And so if you try to go there right now, there's going to be a delay getting into your seat right now. Why? Because there's a great crowd that's trying to see the movie. But the same thing happens when Jesus is coming around. When they know that Jesus is on the scene, the crowd tends to come around, and you can't get to him when you want to get to him. You got to wait in line. And the thing about it is now that here, Jairus has finally talked to Jesus and has gotten to Jesus. So now Jesus is going to where he's going to go to take care of the daughter. But just imagine now Jesus trying to get to where he's going, but he can't really get there as fast as he wants to. Why? Because there's so many people around him bombarding the way so that Jesus can't get there as fast as he wants to. But I'm telling you right now, saints, and you got to realize in life, delays are going to come, and they're going to come, and they're going to be at your benefit. And the thing about it, see, sometimes when you're trying to go somewhere, especially when you're trying to go to work on some mornings, you're delayed for some reason. When you're trying to go to church some mornings, you're delayed for some reason. When you're trying to go meet up with somebody on a particular occasion, you're delayed for a reason. And the reason why you're delayed sometimes is why? Because the enemy has a trap that is set up before you. So why sometimes God has to put a delay in your path so that you cannot get there when you want to get there, but you're going to get there when God wants you to get there. And the thing about it is when you get there when God wants you to get there, all things will be the way that they're supposed to be. Why? Because you're at that appointed place and that appointed time and that appointed reason. So delays are good this morning, saints. So now you can see how Jairus feels as delay is getting to the point. And you know how sometimes when things are not going when we want them to go, you're like, my God, can these folks just hurry up? And you just see here now, one thing you had that was causing delay was the crowd that was assembling around. And then another delay was the woman had the issue of blood. Amen. And you got to remember that all delays aren't always there to hurt you, but they're to help you and to protect you as well. But that's when the point comes to where the fleshly side of us rises up. But see, that's why it's so important that we have to continue to feed the spirit man, because the spirit man can have you at a delay and it does not bother you. But the thing about it is when the flesh is up and roar and you delay, you tend to get agitated. I know sometimes I get agitated with my kids because Lord knows they get on my nerves some days. When I'm trying to be here and I'm trying to get to a certain place at a certain time, and it's like they just slowful. And then my wife is the exact same way. I'm trying to go somewhere sometimes, and I'm like, can you just pick 3 outfits before they're right there? And the one you got on is fine. But she's like, no, that one does not look right. So that caused me another delay. So I tend to start getting agitated. And when I get agitated, I get quiet. And I start pacing. The same thing with us in life. When we trying to go somewhere and do something at the time we want to do it, and when things are not working, we get frustrated. Sometimes, you're sitting there saying, man, I'm supposed to have received that raise on my job 2 weeks ago, but it has not come through yet. Or this money should have came in the mail, 3 weeks ago, but it has not come through yet. Or Lord knows, sometimes I'm hungry, and boy, this food, and you know how sometimes when we order food, it says it's supposed to be here at a certain time, and you're like, man, this food's supposed to be in here at 3:30. I ain't ate lunch all day. I'm hungry. Now I'm getting hungry. This food should have been here. But the thing about it is, see, sometimes those delays are good because God is sometimes saying, you need to fast another 30, 40 more minutes. Why? The reason why is because I'm trying to do a little extra cleansing on the inside of you. Delays. Y'all, I can be honest, delays, I don't like delays. I don't like being late. I'm a timely person. When I say a certain thing's supposed to be at a certain time, I expect it to happen at that time. And that's one thing that frustrates me is a person that has no sense of time. And I even said, church starts at 10:30, and we come in here at 10:45, 11 o'clock. That's very frustrating. But the thing about it is how do you expect God to bless you if you can't be on time for your spiritual job, but you be on time for your natural job? So come on, saints. It's the truth, saints. It's the truth. It's the truth. We can come up with a dime a dozen excuses for why we can be late for church, but those excuses won't fly at the job, because if you're late at your job, you'll get fired, you're going to get reprimanded. But you got to realize you may not be feeling it on the spiritual side right now, but by you being late for morning worship and prayer, you were delaying your blessings. You're delaying your breakthroughs, but you're delaying. Oh, come on this morning, saints. So that's why it's very, very, very beneficial that you be on time. Now I understand that sometimes things do happen when you may be sick in your body. That's excusable. But it's just because of you are late because of you want to be late, there's no excuse. We get mad at God because God is late on our blessings. I get mad when they late with my food because I'm hungry. After I've been in those cases all day long from 7 o'clock up until 3:30, I'm hungry. And the thing about it is, sometimes our spirit man should be the exact same way. We should be hungry as well. We should delay feeding the flesh. And we should be on time to feed the spirit. Oh, God. Oh, gosh. So delays are a good thing. So the next thing in life we're going to talk about, the second D, is the distractions. And y'all know sometimes how those distractions can get a hold of us. Distractions come to detour you from what's before you. We oftentimes see them as a hindrance for where we're going or trying to go. In this case, you can just imagine how Jairus was feeling. Now he's like, okay, now we already got a delay. We got all these people that's around. Now he's got another distraction that's before him. And that's what he's not having to deal with the woman that's got the issue of blood. But see, you have to realize is that sometimes those distractions is a good thing, and the reason why it's a good thing in this instance right here, why he was late, he distracted more, is because we gotta remember, our timing is not his timing. And the thing about, in this case right here, when he was distracted by the one with the issue of blood, was prolonging him getting to Jairus' daughter, so that what? The manifestation of God can come forward a whole lot better. And the thing about it is distractions sometimes, they can either make us or they can break us. And the thing about it is, distractions that come through in life, sometimes, God, I know I can get distracted real easy at times. Sometimes I'm sitting there, I'm working on one project, and you say squirrel, I'm looking like, where the squirrel at? Y'all know what I'm talking about. And so what happened, it's like I'm walking one way, working on one project, but while I'm on my way to that project right there, something distracts me. So what? I lose my train of thought. The enemy is the exact same way. His design is to put distractions in your life so that when he knows that you're doing the will of God, that you can't fulfill it when you're supposed to, but you can fulfill it when the enemy wants you to fulfill it. So what I'm telling you right now, when the enemy comes in with the distraction, that's why I say it is very, very important that we keep our mind stayed on him who will keep us in perfect peace. Because the thing about it is, the more you keep your mind on God, the less chance you are to get distracted. And the less chance you are to get distracted, the more you can do the will of God. And the more you can do the will of God, the more blessings you can receive upon yourself. And you can be a blessing to other people. But the thing about it is that sometimes when we get distracted, we tend to stay in the distraction instead of getting away from the distraction. Because the thing about it is the enemy's not going to put a distraction in front of you that you're not going to like. Because I know there are times when, here goes a good example. Oh, boy, thank you for that right there. When we are called to fast at times, Lord. We're called to fast at times, and we are doing good. My God, we're doing good. But the enemy knows when about that time when it was only time for you to eat. So what the enemy do is, I'm not saying my co-workers are being used by the enemy, but sometimes you got to look into it spiritually. And sometimes you even got to say that you're fasting, but the enemy, he knows when you're fasting. So right around, our lunches tend to try to start around 10:30ish. So I can be in a case, and somebody could have just been like in the break room around a bunch of food. So now they're coming into the case with a sin upon them. And so I'm sitting there like, Lord, now as hungry as I am right now, I can just smell the aroma of the food upon them. And and so you start. And what happens is the natural man kicks in, and he pushes the spiritual man down to where you're like, no longer it ain't spiritual no more. Now it's natural. I need to be fed. And so the enemy does the exact same thing. When you're supposed to be fasting, he will send a distraction your way to where he will put something in your path that's tasty and delicious and it smells good to get you off of the assignment that God has before you. Because he knows that if you're scheduled to fast until 3 o'clock, and if you fast until 3 o'clock, what's going to happen is some of those things that's up on the natural man has been torn off, and the spirit man on the inside is rising up. But the enemy knows if I can just distract you for 5 minutes and eat that one French fry, he knows you're going to have a setback. And why? Because therefore the spiritual man can't be as thriving as he wants to be. So distractions come. And the thing about it is we also have to remember is that when distractions come, is that we have to have the mindset of Christ, that we have to get back on track. You can't stay in that distraction, because the longer you stay in that distraction, the longer you're detouring your blessing for coming through. The distraction. And y'all know sometimes how distractions, when they come, that's when the flesh continues to rise up even more. And you're like, all right now, this got to stop. But the spirit man is saying the exact same thing. This has got to stop. Because when you're supposed to be doing the things that are of the spirit, you tend to do the things of the natural. Why? Because the natural is always hungry. The natural is always trying to find a way to get fed. The spirit man is meek and mellow. The spirit man, it says, okay, I'm hungry. Can you feed me now? But when the natural man, the flesh, gets hungry, stomach starts growling. Get that taste in your mouth, start getting headaches. But see, we have to realize that when distractions come upon us, we have to realize what the distraction is there for and what the distraction is doing. And once we realize those things, we can quickly get back on the path that we need to get back on. Because if you stay off of that path, Lord knows where you're going to end up at. And distractions is a good thing as well, because if that blessing comes before you get there, you're not ready to receive it. And so distractions are very, very good things. It depends on which context that you look at it in. If you look at it in the spiritual thing, it's a good thing. Why? Because God is trying to position you so that you won't get there too early, but you'll get there right on time. Versus on the natural side wants you to get there right then and there, so you can please the things of the flesh. And the more you please the things of the flesh, the less your spirit man is going to rise up on the inside. So just know that those are two D's that we have to experience in life. They're not there to always hurt us, but they're there to help us as well. But you have to have the right mindset that you're going to know that no matter what comes my way, yet will I still serve the Lord. Now, the third D, the devastation. Devastations, my God, my God. It's mostly used as bad news, such as death, a bad accident, or other life-changing events. Now, you got in the story here to where now Jesus has healed the woman with the issue of blood. And the moment after he healed this woman and told her that she has been made whole, then that's when the enemy comes up with the devastating news to Jairus to say that the daughter is now dead. But the thing about it is that God is sitting there telling us, though it may look dead on the natural side, on the spiritual side, it's still yet alive. And so now you got Jairus here. You can just imagine now he's got this devastating news about his daughter dying. So you can just imagine how his whole entire composure has just been shifted now. You know how some of us are at times when we get bad news, our composure shifts. We go from being happy one morning, like, yeah, things are going good, to the next moment we look like, Lord, what just happened? And the thing about it, see, sometimes when some of us, when we receive the devastating news, not only do we lose our spiritual mind, but we lose our natural mind as well. And that's the design of the enemy, is to give you bad news a lot of times when you think things are going good, so that you can get your mind off of what you're supposed to be doing, to where you get your mind on the problem that's before you. But God is sitting there saying, oh, devastations are not always a bad thing, but devastations are good things as well. And the reason I say this is because, see, sometimes it takes a devastation to come in your life in order for you to get your life where it needs to be. Oh, come on this morning, saints. Sometimes it takes you losing a loved one in order for you to realize that you got love all around you the whole entire time. Sometimes it takes you to have your lights at your house turn off to realize that you have a true light on the inside, but you don't like to let it shine the way it's supposed to be shining. Some of you sit there saying, well, God, I ain't got no money, my bank account is negative. But God is sitting there saying, oh, no, you got money, but you're not utilizing the true money that you have. So therefore, I got to take on the natural at what you have. Devastations. Devastations. Devastations aren't always a bad thing, saints. They're always a bad thing. But the thing about it is when that devastation comes up, are you going to lose your mind, or are you going to keep your mind? Which mind are you going to keep when that devastation comes up? I can just imagine right now, if some of us was in Jairus' position, that's when the other side of us comes out when devastation comes in. We want to turn our backs on God. We want to turn our backs on people. We want to turn our backs on everything that's around us and just focus on what we just lost, instead of what we're going to get ready to possibly gain in life. Jairus and the devastation. So you can just imagine now he goes from being semi-happy to just down in the pits. The enemy sometimes right now is giving some of us bad news health-wise. But it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing. Because see, all they're doing is God is telling you to get your mind off of the problem and get your mind on me. And so therefore I will remove that devastation out of your life and give you a better life. Sometimes it takes devastation of performance receiving from the doctor. Oh, Lord, you're going to have a stroke. And so what it takes us sometimes to have that stroke or to have that heart attack or for us to eat the right thing we're supposed to be eating. Amen? Amen. Sometimes it takes for us, amen, we sit there and what we pass out due to an anxiety and due to the lack of sleep when God is in there saying, okay, now that I have to lay you on your back, amen, now you can get what you need. Amen? And the thing about it, see, sometimes we push ourselves to the point to where we don't know when to stop, and then that's when our devastation has to come into our life, all of us to realize I'm trying to do too much, and I need to slow it down sometimes. I need to slow it down sometimes. And so now this devastation is here. It's all, not only does devastation affect you, but it affects your whole entire surroundings. So now Jesus is at the house. And when he come up there, they're all crying. They're weeping. And you can just imagine the mood that's in that house right there. You know how it is when death is around. Death is not a good thing, but yet can sometimes be a good thing. But in this case right here, it wasn't a good thing. And the reason why is because he had just lost his daughter. And so you can just imagine all the workers of the house, they're all weeping. But Jesus said, don't worry. She ain't dead, but she's only sleeping. Some of us, our spirit man ain't dead, they're just sleeping. Some of us, our anointing, they ain't dead, they're just sleeping. And the reason why they're sleeping is because we have allowed the flesh to come and overtake it. So therefore, instead of, and one thing about it, you don't lose your anointing is suppressed is what happens to it. So that's why, and it goes to a dormant sleep. So that's why it's very important that when you feel yourself slipping, that you will tap back into the energy source so that your anointing and your spirit man don't go to sleep. Because when your anointing and spirit man goes to sleep, you lose power. And a lot of us walk around here right now, we are powerless when we think we got a whole bunch of power. So they're at the house and he's sitting there. And so, and you also got to realize when it's time for your blessing to come forth, some people are not going to be happy when your blessing's time to come, when your deliverance come forth. Because you got at the ends of the house here right now, when Jesus said that she's asleep, they start to laugh. Saints, I'm telling you right now, everybody's don't need to be around you when you're being blessed. Because see, sometimes they look at your past, they're not looking at where you currently are right now, saying, well, she used to do this, and he used to do that. So why in the world is God blessing them? And the thing about it is you got to realize that once they have asked God for forgiveness and God has forgiven them, then therefore, who am I and who are you to judge them on how God is blessing them? So sometimes, and then when you get that promotion on your job, like people talking about you, and letting you know right now, you don't need to be around them. Why? Because they're blocking your blessing. So when God is positioning you to be blessed, that's why you need to position yourself with people that's going to want to be an encouragement to you and not a disencouragement to you. When God is lining you up to be a blessing, you need to put godly men and women in your corner so that they can rejoice with you when you're receiving your blessing. But in this instance right here, when Jairus' daughter was dead, when Jesus came around the scene, they started laughing. So automatically, Jesus kicked them out of the house. I'm telling you right now, some of us, we got to kick people out of our house so that our blessings can come on the inside. Because once the blessings come on the inside, they're going to reap the benefits. But the thing about it, I don't want nobody laughing at me while I'm going through. And when God blesses me, they're laughing at me. And then they want to receive my blessings. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to do a house cleaning myself right now. Because if you mean me no good while I'm going through, you're not going to mean me no good while I'm being blessed. Some of us on our jobs right now need to do a house cleaning as well. Because there's people hating on you right now, and they're laughing at you right now, but they just don't know that God is to bless you right about now. And so when they tend to bless you, they want to talk about you, and then they want to soak up some of your blessings. So I'm telling you right now, saints, amen, that if you have a house full of trash, you can receive the goodness of God. That's why it's very important that you would daily on a daily basis, that you would take out the trash in your life. You take out the trash in your house. You take out the trash in your job, and take out the trash in your finances, because when God blesses you, they can't get it. They can't get it. They can't get it. So I thank God for the 3 D's in life. I thank God for what the delay, the distraction, and the devastation. Because without those 3 D's in life, I wouldn't be who I am right now. Without those 3 D's in life, you wouldn't be who you are right now. How I'm here to let you know right now, you're not the only one that went through the 3 D's in life. Amen. You must believe and receive that you're going to make it through your situation. David went through the 3 D's in life, but yet he survived them as well. Amen. John the Baptist went through the 3 D's in life, but yet he survived them as well. Mary went through when she lost her brother Lazarus the 3 D's, but what? She survived them as well. Some of you going through pure hell right now, but what? You're still surviving right now. Some of you think you're about to give in there right now, but God is saying, not so, my child. God is saying, don't give up. Stand up and declare the word of the Lord, and know that all things are going to work for your good. David had to go through the 3 D's in life, but David is still standing as a man of God. Oh, he may have slipped and fell at one point of his life, but David still was like that just man. He got up, he dusted himself back off, and he got back in the word of God. Some of you right now are delayed blessings right now, but God said it's on the way. Some of you are distracted in your mind, but God said, oh, get your mind back right. If you get your mind on me, then things will be back right. And the moment you get your mind back up on me, then I can bless you. And some of you going through pretty hell right now, and you're having one disaster after another. You done lost a parent. You done lost a child. You done lost an uncle or grandpa. But God is saying death is not the final answer. Sometimes you got to go through in order to get. Sometimes you got to realize it's all for our making. It's all for our making. It's all for our making. Oh, I thank God for those 3 D's in life. Oh, I thank God for the distractions in life. Because if it wasn't for the distractions, Lord knows where I would be at right now. Oh, I thank God for the delays in my life. I thank God for delaying my blessings from coming through. And the reason I thank God is because when there was a time for me to get them, I was not ready for a man of God. But oh, I thank God for the delays. So I'm telling you right now, don't think it's short when it comes. It don't come when you want it to come. But just know that he may not come when you want him, but he's always on time. Your blessings may not come when you want them, but they're always on time. And those distractions, they don't come to hurt you, but they come to be a blessing to you. Triumphant. We experience the 3 D's. The delay in getting all the finances that we want. The distractions from prospering how we should be prospering. And the devastations moving from one location to another location. But we're still here. Not by our good doings, but by the grace of God. Some of you right now don't know how you're going to make it. And I said, God, some days I'm just saying, I don't know how I'm going to make it. But oh, when I think of the goodness of Jesus and all that he's done and doing for me, my soul cries out, hallelujah. It becomes a personal thing. So which D are you dealing with right now in your life? Are you dealing with the delay? Are you dealing with the distraction? Or are you dealing with the devastation? But I'm here to let you know right now that no matter what D you're dealing with in life right now, the same God that's pulled you out of the other D, it's the same God's going to pull you out of this D. It's going to pull you out of the next D. It's going to pull you out of the next D. The same God. Yeah. That took care of the children of Israel. You know the 3D that they went through. Pharaoh, the Red Sea, and in the wilderness. Those are 3Ds they went through. But guess what? We're here, y'all. We're here. We're here. Just know you're not by yourself. Just like the old song says, he was there all the time, waiting patiently behind your delays, your distractions, even your own personal devastation that you put in your own way. See, a lot of times, those 3Ds we bring up on ourselves. We bring up delays, why? Because we're not where we're supposed to be, how we're supposed to be. We bring up distraction, why? Because we're trying to focus on others instead of focus on the hand right now. And devastation because of the results of our actions and our consequences. Stand firm. Stand firm. Don't let those 3Ds kill you, but allow them to make you. You all be blessed on today. You all be blessed.